her husband, their father. My name is Everett, and I'm glad to have you back with me today. First things first, before we get into it, let's get our breathing done. We're going to go in through the nose. Make sure you breathe out the mouth, and then we're going to do one more. In through your nose, hold for about a 1 count. All right, let's dive right in. So, we've kind of been on the common theme with, that's my son in the background if you heard that. We've kind of been on this common theme. The goal here is for us to begin able to heal ourselves. All right? I notice a lot of people that are kind of going through the motions in day-to-day life, and it's not me judging anyone, but I noticed that some people are in the same boat as me, being very unhappy. So today we're going to talk about a word that I learned listening to Oprah's podcast, and her name was Dr. Brene Brown, and she used the word confabulate, and it really struck with me. Confabulate is when you take something that is not true, right? You take something that isn't true, and then you tell it to yourself or even to other people in our lives as if it were true. For instance, I was speaking to someone close to me earlier, and they were speaking about going to church. And I said, why don't you want to go to church? And she said, when I go to church, everybody stares at me. And we can assume that this person thinks that for a reason. One of the things that I had done myself personally, I'll tell you guys some of my story here more as we go on, is with my wife. I've been with her for 13 years. We've been married for 3, and I met her right when my mom got brain cancer. I kind of ignored all this. She was sent to me, but I had convinced myself when I was this close to being divorced, I'd convinced myself that my wife didn't love me. I really convinced myself of this, so I would share something with her, and I would talk to a buddy, and they'd say, man, how's it going at home? And I'd say, man, my wife, she does not pay any attention to me. My wife does not listen to me. My wife doesn't respect me. But here's the thing. I never even spoke to her about it. I never even talked to her about it. Another thing I did was at a job of mine that I was convinced for the longest time that everybody there didn't like me. I would be standing at a work area, and if 2 people would be over here speaking, I would bond with somebody, because as humans we do this silly thing where instead of us bonding in joy, we bond in pain. And I'd say, man, I think, we'll just call him Bob. I think Bob doesn't like me because they looked at me a certain way. And then I would go home and I'd tell my wife the same thing. Bob gave me this dirty look. And when I go home and I tell my wife this, she now gives me advice based off the false information that I gave her. Furthermore, I've now created a narrative in my own head where I have based how I'm going to treat the person the next time that I see them based off of this thing that isn't even true. So I'd get this information. I haven't even spoke to these people at work. I haven't talked to my wife. And I'd go home and I'd say, how was work, honey? My wife would say, how's work, honey? And I would say to her, man, they treated me like crap today. I had a really terrible day. And this information and this story and this narrative that I've made up in my own head has everything to do with how I treat myself at work and how I treat these people. Now I'm walking around like this, and any little thing that happens, I'm now making this story worse. It was something deeper going on inside me, but it manifested itself at work. It manifested itself in my relationships. Another thing we do as humans, we think we have control. You do not have control. We think that we have control over every outcome, and we want to know every little step to how we get to a certain place. I had taken all of my emotions, and I had pushed them way deep down inside, and one little thing will be said, and whoosh, they pop all the way to the top, all the way to the chandelier. We call that chandeliering. And when you are somebody that engages in this kind of behavior, you create an environment where the people around you have to walk on eggshells. That's actually emotional abuse. You ever been around somebody that does that? You say one little thing, they freak out, and you're like, where in the heck is this coming from? They've pushed something way deep down, and any little thing sets them off now. Any little thing. And that really has nothing to do with us either. So confabulate and chandeliering. You have got to watch what you say to yourself. I almost lost the love of my life. Somebody that's very important to me. And it really had to do with how I treated myself. I couldn't go to work and expect people to love and respect me when I did not love and respect myself. I could not ask my wife to understand me when I did not know who I was. This started a long time ago. It's like we talked about last week. You've got to go back, you've got to be your own surgeon, and you've got to get real with yourself, and you've got to identify your pain. If there is something that I said that makes you say, oh no, that's not me, it probably is you. Because we usually have a block up to the point we can understand everything that somebody's saying until it gets to the point that it's about us. And then we want to decide that it's not true. We also do this thing where, and I'm not going to do this, I still have issues right now, but there's a difference in how I handle them. We say, I've been through all of these things and now everything's great. Everything is not great all the time. I still struggle. I still have really, really bad days. I still have to say sorry to my wife every single solitary day for something silly that I've done. Because I've asked myself when I'm speaking to her, what do I want out of the conversation? What's the outcome that I want? What is the outcome that I want? You should be asking yourself that in every conversation. And if you think at work or a close friend or your mom or even a pastor, even a church, if you think that something is being said about you and the person is important to you, you've got to love yourself and them enough to go ask them. That way you do not lose a good relationship. How many times in life have you thought something was one way and you found out it was another way? I just did it a couple weeks ago. I was like, somebody had got up and they went to go do something that was by me. They went off and they walked away. And I told my sister-in-law, I was like, this person, yeah, they aren't really messing with me. When that really wasn't the case at all. They came back 2 minutes later and I had to go to my sister-in-law and say, I was wrong. I was wrong. Because it wasn't true. I used to think that my whole family treated me differently based on how I felt about myself. And I wanted them to give me love that I did not have for myself. And so do they treat me differently? Yes. But here's the main thing. I treat me differently. I treat me differently. I cannot control what anybody else does, thinks, anything. I cannot control those outcomes. What I can do is I can care enough about myself to go ask the person that I think has said something about me or that I feel a certain way about, hey, I noticed on Tuesday when I walked by, you guys were kind of whispering. I'm just trying to get some clarification here. Did I do something? Because your instinct may be right, but a lot of times we are wrong. So you've got to ask yourself, don't confabulate and don't think you have control and take all your emotions, bottle them up, and then have everything shoot to the top and then you chandelier and then you are creating an environment where everybody walks on eggshells. I did this to my own family. Everything would be cool. We'd be sitting there one day, somebody say a trigger word, and I'm mad about some pasta. The pasta doesn't cook this way. Like what are we talking about here? Over some pasta? Really? You angry at breakfast? Oh, Cat Williams joke. Never mind. Anyway, so it can be anything that can set you off. If this has happened to you, you need to think about it. Why are you freaking out over pasta? Why are you worried about somebody staring at you that you say you don't care about? And if it is somebody that you care about, you've got to go ask them what is going on, because it will change how you treat yourself. It will change how you interact in your day-to-day life. It will change your relationships. It will change everything. But do not think that you are doing yourself a favor or your kids some justice by squishing all your emotions down, your friends, your colleagues, your teammates, all your emotions down. No, all you've done is create an environment where they've got to walk on eggshells because they're worried about you freaking out, having a crying fit, or exploding. And that's got nothing to do with you. You've got to ask them, because these are just miscommunications and we eat them, and they usually are a manifestation of something deeper that we have going on inside of our own selves. So lessons for the day. Confabulate. To confabulate. Confabulation is taking something that isn't true, that we assume to be true, and we tell ourselves that it is, or we tell somebody else that it is. Chandeliering. Taking all of our emotions, pushing them way deep down inside us, till somebody says one thing and it explodes. Boom! And you have now created an environment for the people around you where they have to walk on eggshells. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you very much for being with me. We're going to be doing 2 videos a week now, and hopefully you're watching this to get a little change in mindset. I love you all very, very much. Peace and love, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.